Welcome back, everybody. It's the Screaming Eagle. We're here once again, fresh from the road trip, and my goodness, that was an interesting turnaround, I'm sure, for our broadcast crew. And of course, I appreciate everybody there at Florida Sports Broadcasting and everybody that we worked with at Gene Cox Stadium last week. It was a phenomenal experience, one I hope that was enjoyed by all. If you haven't seen the game, of course, you can go over to the Florida Sports Broadcasting YouTube channel. That's what I'm trying to say. And check out the replay. And all the replays are available for you. You can check out what you've missed so far of this amazing season we're on, this undefeated season thus far. And the Golden Eagles will have another matchup this week on the road. I'm a solo act this week, and not on camera because we've been a little caught up with football, and I'm not exactly in the same location that I normally am when I set this up. So I'm a little bit on the road, sort of enjoying the Labor Day weekend. And David Wells, my partner, is in Atlanta. He's doing some work for the Shrine Bowl. He's been pretty busy all weekend in Atlanta. So we have just got me today, not on camera, but I've still got clips for you. I've still got highlights. We'll talk about the game last week, at least definitely from my perspective, of course. And we'll also get a look at Cibastian Broughton, his amazing game on Friday. Dude was on fire. You know, however you want to slice it, man, this was pretty crazy. So, but the first thing we're going to do is, get a move on here with the recap of last week's game. Oh my goodness. This was a crazy experience traveling down I-10 the whole 2.5 hours. And we didn't get any rain. Thank goodness. There was no rain whatsoever. But we did get a lot of fireworks, nonetheless, from the only Cibastian Broughton. They call him the Worm, and they call him the Worm for a good reason. So we'll get into that. But what a day that he had. 5 total touchdowns, 13 of 19 for 310 yards, 4 passing touchdowns. He had 1 carry for 56 yards. I'm sorry, 1 touchdown run, 4 carries overall for 56 yards, his longest in the 30s. We'll talk about that in just a second as we get to the highlights. But this is what we've been talking about and what we've been looking to see and hear from Cibastian Broughton, that leadership on the field, that field general mentality. And this was a major coming out party for him as the sophomore quarterback. Last year, a little bit hesitant to throw the ball, more consistent on the run last year. Definitely a mobile quarterback. You can't take that away from him in any case. And, after watching Florida State and LSU Monday night, or Sunday night, rather. It feels like it was Monday night because that was a huge game. And of course, I'm still recovering from the shock of that one. I can't believe Florida State won that. But watching Jordan Travis play quarterback at FSU, I see a lot of that in Cibastian Broughton. He has a lot of that mobility, the arm strength. We definitely saw the arm strength we've been waiting to see, and that accurate throw. The connection with his receivers has started to gel a little bit. And I'm telling you right now, Darian Dominic, when he can get on the same page as Broughton, fireworks will take place. But on top of that, he's also discovered a second and a third weapon in Brendan Cook and Trace Burney. Trace Burney, the freshman. Wow. I labeled him on Twitter as my rising star of the week. This kid, I'm telling you, if you don't believe that Fleming Island is, deep in their talent pool, then you really aren't paying attention. This kid is amazing, and he is all of the talk right now in terms of freshman players. Trace Burney, 3 catches, 74 yards, and 2 touchdowns. For a freshman who's not running and catching like a freshman, he's playing like a seasoned veteran, and this young man is going to be deadly. So we've got all of this upperclassmen talent especially on the offensive side of the ball, but we're not without that next man up mentality that Fleming Island has, and they're really, really going to step up as the season goes on. But the one thing that we're going to focus on this week, of course, is the continued development of Sebastian Broughton and the chemistry he's starting to get with his receivers. Well, let's take a look at the highlights and get into it with the worm going wild. But the start of the game kind of had that eerie sense that Fleming Island was not up to the road test. Rickards started moving the ball, and we're moving it freely. The defense bowed up. They didn't break. They stood their ground and didn't allow the Raiders to advance the football or get into the end zone. Rickards did not have a strong punting game, but they were smart enough to punt away from Mustafa Marshall, who is extremely deadly in the return game. But nonetheless, Mustafa Marshall got into the game. First score and first touchdown pass for Sebastian Broughton went a little bit like this.
Goal from the 12. Here's Broughton back to pass. He gets by one tackler, scrambles to his left. He's got a receiver. Touchdown, Mustafa Marshall.
What a great throw by Broughton on that one. Do you see? Let's go through that one more time as we watch him roll out of the pocket here. Just absolutely sees the pressure coming from the outside, takes a step up, rolls to his left, flick sidearm throw. Marshall, of course, great communication. And one more time here, just watch the movement here. You can see him. He sees the pressure coming up, steps up and avoids it. He did get a good block in the backfield. The offensive line and his receivers, the running backs, all of them blocking very well. But look how he eludes the pressure on this one and then gets into a position where he can square up his body and throw. I mean, that was just awesome. Great, mature-looking throw from Sebastian Broughton to get the scoring started. Of course, Mustafa Marshall always involved in the game somewhere. That was just unbelievable. Well, that wasn't it, though, of course. One of the many good things about Sebastian Broughton is his cannon that he's got for an arm and the chemistry that he's starting to develop with Brendan Cook. Brendan Cook is becoming an all-star athlete on this team. He's blocked kicks. He's caught passes. I wouldn't be surprised if we had him line up on defense and just didn't see it because he wasn't able to make a play because you've got all those other studs on defense that are showing up in Abram Wright, Jace Edwards. But, Brendan Cook, he's really starting to be that, I guess you could call him wide receiver 2 because, you're going to put Darian at, the first wide receiver position. If you're looking at it on the depth chart, Darian Dominic is up top, but Brendan Cook, just amazing. And here's Sebastian Broughton again with just an amazing throw. Now I have to caveat this. So our good friend and play-by-play announcer, Ray Canaveri, he loves Darian Dominic so much. He thinks every big play is Darian Dominic, and it really isn't, unfortunately. But nonetheless, this Dominic was on this play, but this was Brendan Cook. Watch this dude rob the defender blind. Check this out.
Cook is the wide out to the left. And Trace Burney, the freshman, is out there with him as well. We'll keep Dominic to the right, and I believe that is Boykin in the right-hand side as well. Broughton back to pass. He's looking down the field. He has Dominic. Somehow he came up with it. He's across the 20 to the 10, and Darian Dominic will have a touchdown.
That's Brendan Cook again. Yeah, Brendan Cook. People have said that this play, look at it one more time. People have said that Brendan Cook was doing a little Randy Moss impersonation here. I think that's going to go by his Twitter handle, Cooked by Cooked, because that man took off with this ball. Look at the reach on this. This is not normal for us to just replay these clips over and over, but look at that great throw. And then the grab, just waited for it. Defender had every chance to intercept this. And then, of course, once Brendan Cook gets in space, forget about it. You're not going to catch him. He's far too strong, far too fast. And, just a great throw and catch by Sebastian Broughton to Brendan Cook. That was just stellar. And one of many that I'm sure we're going to see later on down the line of the season. Well, not to be outdone, Austin Allred got on the board too. We've been concerned about the kicking game, and so far he's been lights out. He did kick a 30-yard field goal.
Will attempt a 30-yarder. It is up, and it is good.
and added to the scoring there. So, can't forget the importance of the kicking game on this one. Only had one extra point missed, and that was due to a block. But other than that, the kicking game solid once again. And between him and Enzo Leone, they've got plenty at the kicker position right now to work out all the kinks, and it's much improved for sure. Let's talk about Trace Burney. Trace Burney, man, look at this kid. He caught 2 touchdown passes, and Sebastian Broughton found him in creative ways. Here's the first touchdown, this from the second quarter.
Marshall stays in as the back. 2 left, 1 to the right. That's Dominic. And Broughton will step back. Good blocking by the offensive line. Now the pressure comes. Broughton wiggles his way out of it. He'll throw. He's got a receiver over there. And it is caught by Trace Burney.
That was an excellent throw. And look at what Broughton does again. He sees the pressure come through. He knows he's gonna get nailed at some point. He knows that there's going to be an opportunity for a hit here. And he absolutely just avoids the pressure, just finds his way around it. And here we go. This is why they call him the worm, kids, because look at this. He sets up. Now he's got an idea of, he's talking to Marshall, who's going to set up a block here. And watch that. He falls back. Mustafa's in front of him. He sees the pressure, scampers out of it. Great scamper, just a sidestep. Calls out to Burney at that point, says, hey, get open. So right then and there, not only did he avoid the pressure and just use his athleticism, but he absolutely opened up the communication on that one and said, hey, get out. You're open. I'm going to throw this almost back shoulder. And, he absolutely just, threw a dart. I guess you could call that a dime, but he absolutely threw a wonderful pass to Burney. And here we go with the athleticism again with Sebastian Broughton. This kid, I'm telling you, I see it all the time, and he just reminds me of Jordan Travis. But look at this play. This is his 33-yard run for touchdown.
First down, and they're going to throw. No. Broughton will roll to the right side. He'll keep it himself, still on his feet. He's down the sideline. If he didn't step out of bounds, he's close to the end zone, and he has a touchdown.
Wow. What a run by the worm. Look, and a great backside block by Mustafa Marshall to stop the defender downfield. That's what helped spring him. Just a great run. And look at the vision that he's got on that play. My goodness, turned up the jets a little bit, tightrope, stay in bounds, scampered into the end zone.
A 33-yard touchdown run by Sebastian Broughton.
I really thought he slammed on the brakes there for a second.
Yeah, and Dave pointed it out too. He thought he'd slammed on the brakes here, but check it out again. Mustafa Marshall, look at the block that he throws on the backside here as the defender comes around the edge, and Broughton just turns it on. Watch, little stop, little stutter step, and then shake and jive, doom. You can't argue with it. What a great set of footwork. And we've been talking about this constantly with Fleming Island. It's not just a question of Sam Singleton in the backfield or Mustafa Marshall or Tayshaun Smith. They've already got a 3-headed monster at running back. But when you throw in the potential, the threat that Broughton can run, that's when you run into issues when you're a defense. And now that we've seen him throw the ball a lot more and throw it with some success, now it gives the offense a greater dimension, and now defenses have to respect it. So without further ado, let's get to one more of those touches. This is the final touchdown pass that Broughton threw. Another one to Trace Burney. Check this out.
Down on a long one. We'll call it 2. As Singleton will stay in as the back, as they'll snap the ball at the Rickards 28-yard line, and they'll throw, and it is caught by Burney again. Still on his feet at the 10, and Burney has his second touchdown of the night.
Burney with a great move at the end there to open up a little bit more space. Broughton just stood tall in the pocket and did not let any pressure bother him. The offensive line actually did a great job blocking this. He had Singleton as a sidecar just in case he needed it. A little play fake, quick throw right over the middle, and I love those routes. Those are the ones that I've been kind of waiting to see the Fleming Island offense run, are those quick slant routes when you've got your speedy receivers right here. Burney's down to the bottom of your screen in the slot, and he's just going to run a slant straight across. He's going to stick and move right across the middle. And then after that, watch this little whoop, just like that. Takes off running, touchdown. That's a freshman, guys, a freshman. We've got 3 more years of that at Fleming Island. What a what an amazing athlete. And I just can't wait to see how he develops. It's one of those things when you get blessed with such talent that you kind of wonder, is it going to plateau and just, sort of taper off? But I don't think so. I think Coach Springs is really going to use this and continue to develop it. Trace Burney is going to be a dangerous young man in a matter of years. Can't wait for his senior season. Well, we're on a 3-episode streak with the big man play of the game. I am so excited about the big man play of the game. I can't wait. Every week, it's like, what big man are we going to run into this week, or is going to run into somebody, or make some sort of tremendous play for the offense, or maybe even the defense. But in this case, it was the offense. And your friend and mine, Timmy, also known as TJ Lawrence, doing a little help here as Fleming Island gets downfield. This was off the Darian Dominic pass that was not ruled a touchdown. We still have a question about that, and I'm still kind of going through the video myself to find out what that was. But I want to highlight our big man play of the game here. Check this out. This is called perseverance, kids.
Smith will stay in as the back. Dakota Rowe, the tight end. Ball is at about the 8-yard line. Smith will wiggle his way across the 5 and still dragging players with him toward the end zone.
Timmy Lawrence.
Into the end zone for the touchdown.
Timmy Lawrence and Cunningham in there. Get that touchdown.
Listen, I'm going to give him the big man of the game to the whole offensive line on that.
I did say to the whole offensive line on that one, but Braden Cunningham, Timmy Lawrence on that, just dragging Tayshawn Smith and moving the pile into the end zone for the touchdown. What a gutsy play by the big man. Oh, my goodness. I was so happy to see that. And again, another big man play of the game. Sorry, Dave missed it this week, but I'm sure we'll be talking about that on our Friday pregame show and reminding everybody of that wonderful play, of the offensive line. They've just been lights out this season, and I'm so proud of them for all of the great work that they're doing to, really work on being team players, man. Well, taking a look at the schedule right now, the road trip ends this week. We go to Allen D. Nease High School, home of the Panthers. And, well, last season we didn't have all that much luck with Nease, at least not in the second half. The trouble that we had last year was that we were not really in the best of positions with our run game, our not as stellar as it is now. We did have a lot of that youth on the team. And when you look at Nease this year, they really have not had the season that they were hoping to have so far. This is an 0-2 Nease team coming in, and they got absolutely lit up by Creekside last week. This is crazy, the score on this one. Let me go and talk about this Nease Creekside game. It's not often that you see track meets in high school, but when you do, they really start blowing things up. And around the media, everybody sort of talks about it and says, did you hear what happened in that game? And we're all shaking our head going, Creekside's the real deal, and we have them on our district schedule. This is crazy. So the game actually was an offensive game from the start. Nease had a 13-10 lead going into the second quarter. They scored 2 more touchdowns, but Creekside poured it on. And at the half, this game was actually sort of closer than the experts thought. It was 26-27 at the half. And you can imagine what they were going through at this point. And then after that, it was all Creekside. Dominant third quarter. The Knights put 21 points on the Panthers. Nease tried to make a comeback. They were close for a little bit, but after a while, it just got ugly. And your final score was 62-41. That game was a disaster if you're Nease, because now you're going in to play another juggernaut in Fleming Island, essentially. But that was crazy. Creekside going to 2-0 in the year. They're on the road to Glen Academy in Brunswick. And on Thursday night, they go to play the Glen Academy Terrors, who are 2-1. They lost 37-7 against Camden County last week. I imagine that Creekside may roll over them. And of course, your Golden Eagles will go to the Panther Dome over at Nease High School. Quick history lesson about Nease. Nease was opened up in 1982. I was very young then. I was 2 years old. And Nease used to be a junior-senior high school, and for the longest time was one of the only other high schools in St. Johns County. St. Augustine is their traditional crosstown rival, although over the years they've played Creekside and Bartram Trail as those schools opened up and became prominent. But most of the time, the talk was about St. Augustine and Nease. Nease situated off of US 1 and Ray Road in St. Johns County. It's sort of in that bubble zone between what is considered St. John's and actual St. Augustine proper, more unincorporated part of the county. But as time and, well, property values have increased, Nease has increased in population. And of course, it got so big there, that's what resulted in the building of Ponte Vedra High School and eventually Tucoy Creek and now Beachside. So Nease used to be a very large school and was classified as such in the state. Now with the shifting going on and the additional high schools being built in this suburban and metro thing, Nease's population has dropped a little bit, so they've had to shuffle the classifications down. And of course, last year this was a district game, not the case for the Panthers now. Of course, if you have followed high school football or college football even, and the players that have funneled out of high schools in North Florida, you know that Nease is the home of Tim Tebow. And Tim Tebow was the quarterback that brought them to prominence and won them a state title. However, Tim Tebow, unlike me, did not attend a class at Nease High School. He was a homeschool kid that just happened to play football and take advantage of a provision in Florida state law that allowed him to participate in interscholastic athletic activities at a local neighborhood high school without having to be a student there. So, Tebow, not exactly. I don't really like talking about the whole Tim Tebow at Nease thing because Tim Tebow really wasn't at Nease. He was just a football player there. Yes, he brought, a little pomp and circumstance to what they call the Panther Dome, and that's always been called the Panther Dome. They've called it the Panther Dome since before I was there, actually. And it's not really a dome. You can't have domes in high schools unless you're really spending big money. And even IMG Academy doesn't have that kind of cash. But nonetheless, so, you're going down to play a game against a program who has had some pop, they have athletes, they've really, really got something going on at quarterback. Colin Drafts is their head coach. And the reason I talk about the quarterback position so much for Nease is that Colin Drafts is a quarterback from arena football. And the arena game is one of those games that it moves at a certain speed. And if you're not able to have a really short clock in the indoor game, you're going to find yourself sacked very quickly. So you have to move very fast. So Colin Drafts knows a little bit about quarterback pressure and how to run and throw with some speed. And I'm sure that he's imparted that on his quarterback, Marcus Stokes. Marcus Stokes, the 6'3", 185-pound senior Florida commit. Marcus Stokes absolutely torched us in the second half last year. Our defense was back on its heels, and there really wasn't a whole lot we could do. Stokes was actually the quarterback that they said he was, and now with a commitment to Florida, that just means that he's got a little extra motivation to not only further impress his recruiting staff at UF, but also sort of make a statement. I mean, you understand, if you watch that Florida-Utah game over the weekend, Anthony Richardson is the guy right now. Could you imagine being the backup to this guy? But we have theories about this. Those of us who watch football on the regular, we think Anthony Richardson might be a one-and-done quarterback after his sophomore year. We think he might go pro. So Marcus Stokes might have a very, very high opportunity to come out as a freshman next year when he signs on with Florida. I'm pretty sure he's going to sign with Florida. I mean, we never want to say that's true until we actually see it. But for right now, a firm commit to UF. Marcus Stokes might have an opportunity to go play at that D1 level and either maybe a starter or at the very least QB2. So there's a strong possibility that this kid's going to get a lot of national attention. And this game is going to have a lot of national attention to it, especially now with Sam Singleton being an FSU commit and FSU winning a huge game in Louisiana this weekend. So That being said, there's a lot of talent on both sides of the ball. Stokes is an excellent quarterback. They are a pass-first offense. They will open it up and start throwing the ball. And as we transition to our keys to the game here, one of the things that Fleming Island has got to get better at is the penalties. If they end up giving Nease bonus yards on silly penalties, like procedure penalties on special teams plays or dead ball fouls because they get a little too chippy, everybody appreciates the aggression, but you really don't want them to go over the top with it. They've got to stop the penalties. That's the first thing they have to do. Second thing they have to do is they've got to cover deep. Rickards exploited that quite a bit. Go back to the film on it. I didn't clip it together in highlights because, it's only a 30-minute show. But Rickards really exploited that even in a blowout. And they were starting to exploit this early on in the game when they had a shot at it. Luckily, they were just overthrows. But Fleming's not going to get that lucky with Stokes, who's a little bit more accurate quarterback, more of a presence in the pocket, and plenty of experience. This is a senior you're talking about, not a freshman. So they're going to have to cover over the top and can't give up the deep ball. We've got the speed to keep up with it. And even Coach Springs, because he is such a coach that inserts athletes into situations where they can be successful and make a play, he was putting Darian Dominic in the game on defense at safety. He's a tall drink of water, and he might be able to keep up with a receiver skirting downfield and start making defensive plays. But where you really need Dominic is on the offensive side of the ball. You don't really want him playing Iron Man. So your defensive player, Caleb Singleton's got to have a lights-out game. If you need anybody that's got to be a shutdown corner, Caleb Singleton has got to have the game of his life next week to make sure that they're not getting beat on the deep ball. Fleming's rush defense is outstanding. And according to my reports, and I'm sure we'll talk about this a little bit more on Friday afternoon, just before the kickoff, that, Fleming's not going to be seeing much of a difficult rushing attack, but they have been playing excellent run defense. And, they have to remember to tackle these guys, though. We can't get away with arm tackles. You got to wrap these guys up, drive them into the turf. They had a little bit of problem with that with Rickards. Rickards, very athletic, very fast, smaller in size than Fleming's entire defense. But those small squirrely characters, if you don't grab them, wrap them up, drive them to the turf, use that form tackling, you're not going to, have a very good game. You're going to end up chasing them from behind as opposed to, getting a hit up front. So it's going to be very important for Fleming to do lots of good tackling and communicate on defense. On the offensive side of the ball, Cibastian Broughton, let's see the worm go. Let's wiggle with it, I guess we'll call it. He had a lights out game last week. He was amazing. He came unglued, uncorked, whatever you want to call it. Broughton has got to have that kind of game again. His communication with his receivers was excellent. He started seeing things downfield, great throws. I mean, he was zipping balls in. They weren't dead ducks. It really shows his arm strength and the attention to detail he's played with lately. And his leadership has really shown. He's commanding that offense now. So again, Broughton has to have another amazing game. We need to see a little bit more of Sam Singleton. He hasn't been as heavily used, mostly because they've been in blowout situations. I don't think this is going to be a blowout, at least not early. But the way that Nease played last week, all of a sudden their defense went to sleep. So there's a good opportunity for Singleton to get some big yards early, make a huge impact, let Marshall and Smith finish the game out. But we need to see a little bit more of Singleton and get him engaged in the game. This is a marquee matchup for him. This is a chance to showcase his talent on another stage in, a big-time North Florida game. It's not district, but it's still very important. And you want to get this game back from last year. We played a great first half against Nease, and then the wheels came off. Let's turn the tables on them, go down there and beat on them for a little bit. So I know this is weird not having Dave here, but I'm sure he'll be back to form next week. We'll because we're all also going over the Labor Day weekend as well. But picks and predictions, we'll talk about this on the broadcast Friday as well, and we'll compare. But last week I won. I said this game would, the Rickards game would be a little bit. He said it would be a much more low-scoring affair. He said 14-13. I said 28-21, kind of erring on the side of track meet. I didn't realize it was going to be a one-horse race, and that Fleming Island was absolutely going to beat the brakes off of these guys, but I was right. So this week I won, or last week, rather, I should say. So I'm 1-1 on the season so far. Now this week, I think I'm going to go ahead and say track meet. This game is you might want to go ahead and start getting your arena football score sheets out. This game might have a lot of touchdowns. I'm not saying that both defenses are bad, but I will say that the defenses are probably going to be suspect to some really talented offenses, and there's going to be some fun and gun, as it were, on the field. I'm going to say this one is 38-35. Fleming Island wins it on the foot of Austin Allred. Not late in the game, but he's the edge. A good, solid field goal when they needed it to keep points on the board and not get zeroed out on a drive is likely to be the difference on this one. But I think Nease and Fleming Island are both high-powered offenses. I expect to see spread and run, spread and throw. This is going to be a lot of fun. Like I said, bring your scorebooks out. We're going to be here for a little bit. Get your track shoes on. We'll take a few laps around the track there at Nease and hope you enjoy it. And with that being said, wow, that was done. That was a fast 30 minutes, and I did it by myself. But next week I won't have to. Again, my favorite, not so favorite game of the week is playing Nease. As a graduate of Nease High School, this is the hardest game for me to call every year. So every year that they'll play it anyway. But with that said, I'm going to say it. Soar higher, go Eagles. I know that the Golden Eagles are going to crush it this week, put in some work. And I want to thank you for watching. Thank you for listening this week and watching. It was mostly listening because we didn't have us on camera this week. But thank you for all your support. We appreciate you helping us get the word out about Fleming Island athletics. We thank you for supporting the broadcasts on FSB. Again, tune in this week, 6:45 pregame. Live coverage starts at 6, and replays always available on the YouTube channel. This podcast will be available on YouTube and Spotify. You can take it on the go wherever you are and listen to it if you don't want to watch it. From the shores of the St. John's, this is BP reminding you that it's not peer pressure, kids. It's just your turn. Soar higher, go Eagles, and we will see you on Friday.